King Sigmund Wälsingsson married Berghild from Braland. They called their son Helgi after Helgi Hjörvarðssonr. Hagel fostered Helgi. Hunding hight a rich king. Hundland is known for him. He was a great warrior and had many sons who were raiders. There was unfrith and fiendship between King Hunding and King Sigmund. They killed each other's kith. King Sigmund was of Wälsing and Wilfing kinship. Helgi went and spied on the king's court in secret. Heiming, King Hunding's son, was home. And when Helgi fared away, he came upon a herdswain and said, "Tell Heiming that it was Helgi, thought to have been felled by men. You had a grey wolf among you, whom King Hunding thought was Hamel." Hamel was Hagel's son. King Hunding sent men to Hagel's to look for Helgi, and Helgi mote not escape by any other way than taking a maidservant's clothes and going to the mill. They looked for Helgi and found him not. Then Blind the Balewise said, "Keen are the eyes on Hagel's bondswoman. Is that not one of a carle's line who stands at the quern? Her rock-reeving makes the meal-bin jump up. That Hilding has come by a hard fate that she should now be milling the Welsh barley. That Hathel's hand is too seemly for the mill-mangle's middle cavil." Hagel answered and said, "It is little wonder how the meal-bin thrums when the maid moves the king's mangle. She once throwed the upper sky and dared to fight like a Viking ere Helgi made her a haft. She is the sister of Sigurd and Hagen. Wilfing women have fierce eyes." Helgi got away and fared on a warship. He was called Helgi Hundingsbana because he had felled King Hunding. He holed up with his crew in Brunaways and made a strand raid there and ate raw foods. Hagen hight a king. His daughter was Sigrun. She was a Valkyrie and rode the air and water. She was Svafa reborn. Sigrun rode to Helgi's ships and said, "Who lets this floy float up to the bank? Where do you segs call home? Why do you bide in Brunaways? Whither wends your way from here?" Quoth Helgi, "Hagel lets this floy float up to the bank. We make our home in Leysö. We abide a fair wind in Brunaways. Our way wends east from here." Quoth Sigrun, "Where hast thou, prince, waged war, or fed the wild geese of Gunther's sisters? Why is thy byrnie sprinkled with blood? Why must you eat your meat raw under your helmets?" Quoth Helgi, "This Wilfingkin's latest win was west of here, if it behages thee to know, when I took on bears in Bragalund, and sated a family of eagles with spear points. Now thou knowest, maiden, how our case unfelled, and how I came to be eating poorly roasted meat out at sea." Quoth Sigrun, "Thou speakest of battle. It happens King Hunding sank down before Helgi at the field. The fight came together when you avenged your sibs, and blood streaked down Brimir's edges." Quoth Helgi, "How wistest thou that that is so, wise lady, that we avenged our sibs? Many are the sharp Herding's sons resembling us and our kin." Quoth Sigrun, "I was not far off, Folklord, for the warlord's demise yesterday morning, though I think Sigmund's son is sly to bespeak his war news obscurely. I saw thee once before on the longships, when thou mandest the bloody prows, and the Urswheel waves ran amuck. Now thou wantest to hide thyself from me, but Hagen's daughter knows Helgi." Granmar hight a rich king who dwelt at Svaren's How. He had many sons, Huthbrod for one, another Godmund, and a third Starkath. Huthbrod was at a king's congress. He pledged himself to Sigrun, Hagen's daughter, but when she heard that, she rode with the Valkyries through the air and over the water to look for Helgi. Helgi was then at Logafell and had fought with Hunding's sons. There he had felled Elf and Eyjolf, Hereward and Howard, and he was battle-weary and sat under Arastein. Sigrun found him there and ran to hoss him and kissed him and told him her errand, as told in Helgakviða Hundingsbana. Sigrun sought the glad suchling. She started forward to seek Helgi's hand. She kissed and greeted the helmeted king. Then she became wife in the prince's heart. She had come to love Sigmund's son with all her heart before she had even seen him. Quoth Sigrun, "I was pledged to marry Huthbrod before a host, but I wish to marry another prince, though meseems, king, I have stirred the wrath of kith. I have broken off my father's chosen match." Hagen's daughter betook not to speak her mind. She told herself she should have Helgi's favour. Quoth Helgi, Pay thou no mind to Hagen's wrath, nor thy family's ill will. Thou shalt live with me, young maid. Thy line is a good one, no doubt about it. Helgi then assembled a great navy and fared to Frekkastein, and they ran into a life-threatening storm out at sea. Then a sheet of light came over them, and beams stood over the ships. They saw that 9 Valkyries were riding in the sky, and they recognized Sigrun. Then the storm let up, and they came hale to land. Granmar's sons were sitting on a certain cliff when the ships were sailing toward land. Godmund leapt on a horse and rode to look out over the harbour from a cliff. Then the Wælsings set the sails. Then Godmund said, Who is that shielding steering the ships, furling a golden gonfanon before the prow? He seems fair at the head of the file, casting the warlight over the seafarers. Quoth Fitela,
Here Huthbrod may see Helgi in the fleet's midst, loath to flee. He has thy family's Athel, the Fjörsung's earth through and through.
Quoth Godmund, Soon we shall meet back up at Frekkastein to judge the case. It is time to win revenge on Huthbrod, for we have long drawn the shorter lot. Quoth Fitela,
Thou wouldst rather, Godmund, make like a goat and climb the sheer cliff crags, holding a hazel club in thy hand. That were sightlier to thee than Brimir's dooms.
Quoth Helgi, It is much seemlier for thee, Fitela, to wage war and gladden the eagles than to weave windless words, even as Hildings are dealing out curses. Granmar's sons seem no good to me, yet it behooves suchlings to speak sooth. They have marked out Moinsheim, there with a mind to brandish swords. These Hildings are quite crafty. Godmund rode home with the warband. Then the host of Granmar's sons assembled. There came many kings. There was Hagen, Sigrun's father, and his sons, Bragi and Day. There was a great battle, and all Granmar's sons and all their captains fell, but Day, Hagen's son, who got quarter and swore oaths to the Wælsings. Sigrun went among the slain and found Huthbrod at death's door. Quoth she, Sigrun of Sefafell will not stoop into thine arms, King Huthbrod. The age of Granmar's sons is over. The grey wolves grouse the carrion. Then she found Helgi and became overfain. Quoth he, Not all is given to thee, All-Wise. The Norns bear some blame. Bragi and Hagen fell this morning at Frekkastein. I became their bane. From King Starkad at Styrkleif to Hrollaug's sons at Hleiberg. Then I saw the grimmest Gilvish figure, a body fighting without a head. Almost all thy kinsmen strew the earth, become corpses. Thou wonnest not the battle. It was shapen for thee to be the cause of strife among mighty men. Then Sigrun cried. Quoth Helgi, Take heart, Sigrun. Thou becamest our contention. Shieldings may not overturn fate. Quoth Sigrun, Would that I could choose to liven those now gone, and could hide myself away in thine embrace. Helgi married Sigrun, and they had sons. Helgi never grew old. Day, Hagen's son, sacrificed to Woden for revenge for his father's slaughter. Woden lent Day his spear. Day found Helgi, his brother-in-law, at the place called Fetterlund. He ran Helgi through with the spear. Helgi fell there, and Day rode to Sefafell and told Sigrun the tidings. Loth am I, sister, to tell thee troubles. I have needlessly made my kinswoman cry. He fell this morning at Fetterlund, the Bodling who was the best in the world, and stood on Hilding's necks. Quoth Sigrun, May all the oaths bite thee that thou sworest to Helgi, by the bright water of the Leift and by the Urswil Unarstein. The ship that would glide under thee glidn't, even when a wished-for wind comes along aft. The horse that would run under thee runnant, even when thou must forsake thy fiends. Whatever sword thou brandishest bitn't, except to hum about thine own head. I would be avenged on thee for Helgi's death if thou wert an outlaw in the woods outside, in want of wealth and all fellowship, having no food unless thou springest on carrion. Quoth Day, Thou art mad, sister, and out of thy wits, that thou prayest thy brother be thus forshapen. Woden alone wields all bale, for he put sacrunes among siblings. Thy brother offers thee red gold rings, and all of Wendelswy and Wydale. Have thou, ring-wrapped bride, and thy sons, half my realm to make up for this harm. Quoth Sigrun, I will no longer sit so still at Cephafel, enjoying life neither early nor at night, unless the prince's glow lights up my household. If only the horse Wyblow, wont to the golden bit, were to bring the lord back, I could welcome him. Helgi struck fear into the hearts of all his fiends and their friends, like goats running frantically off a fell in full panic before a wolf. Helgi towered over Hildings like an eater-shapen ash over thorns, or like an animal who, even as a dew-beslung calf, overfares all others of its kind, and whose horns glow like heaven itself. A howe was made for Helgi, and when he got to Valhalla, Woden asked him to help rule over everything. Quoth Helgi, Hunding, thou shalt fetch the water and kindle the fire for every man's footbath. Leash the hounds, look after the horses, give the swine some stock ere going to sleep. In the evening, Sigrun's maidservant went by Helgi's howe and saw that Helgi was riding up to the howe along with many men. Quoth the maidservant,
What swick is this, meseems I see? You men are dead, but you ride your horses bespeared. Is homecoming granted to the segs, or is it Ragnarök?
Quoth Helgi, It is no swick thee seems thou seest, nor the end of the eld, though thou beholdest us, and though we ride our horses bespeared, nor is homecoming granted to the segs. The maidservant went home and told Sigrun,
Get thee outside, Sigrun of Cephafel, if thou wantest to find the folk's hero. The howe is opened up, Helgi is come, dripping blood. The Daling prays that thou shouldst soothe his wounds.
Sigrun went to Helgi's howe and said, I am over fain at our meeting now. I am happier to see a slain man than one of Woden's hungry hawks, like seeing the dewy-hued brow of dawn. I long to kiss the unliving king, before thou castest off thy bloody byrnie. Thy hair, Helgi, is rife with rime. The leader is all streaked with death-dew. His hands are o'er-sweal. How, budling, shall I cure thee of this? Quoth Helgi, Thou alone, Sigrun of Cephafel, art the reason that Helgi is stricken with sorrow-dew. Thou criest, gold-bound, sun-bright southern maid, grim tears ere thou goest to sleep. Each one falls bloody on this lord's breast, o'er-sweal, striking deep and fraught with grief. We shall drink the dearling draughts, although we have lost pleasures and lands. Let no man sing out mourning lays, even though bane wounds show on my breast. Now brides are hidden away in the howe, queens are near to their fallen leafs. Sigrun made up a bed in the howe. I have made thee a bed here, Helgi, a sorrowless spot, Wilfing son. I want to sleep in thine embrace, king, like I did with the living prince. Quoth Helgi, I must say, nothing unexpected can ever happen again at Cephafel, now that thou sleepest in unliving arms in a howe, Hagen's white daughter, king-born one, whilst thou art yet living. It is time for me to ride the rosy roads, to let the pale horse tread the flight path. I shall be west of Windhelm's bridge, ere Salgofnir wakens the Hreiththeed. Helgi and his men rode on their way, and the women fared home to the farmstead. The next evening Sigrun had a maidservant keep watch at the howe, and at nightfall, when Sigrun came to the howe, she said, Sigmund's son would be come by now, if he meant to come from Woden's halls. My hopes of the Lord's hithering wither as the eagles settle in the ash limbs, and the whole royal house drifts off to the dream thing. Quoth the maidservant,
Be thou not so mad that thou farest alone, shielding queen, to the shade's abode. They all become stronger at night, foe spirits too, my lady, than during daylight.
Sigrun's life was cut short by sorrow and grief. It was believed in olden times that people were reborn, though that is now called an old wives' tale. Helgi and Sigrun are said to have been reborn. He then hight Helgi Hundingsbana, and she Kara Halfdan's daughter, as is told in Karuljóðum, and she was a Valkyrie.